Hello, hello, everyone. You are listening to The Success Palette, a place to discuss everything that you are not taught in school about how to be successful in the arts. I'm your host, Soda, and today we are going to talk about how improv can help us as creatives, how it could help us create that inertia to start a project, to give us confidence, how to make decisions, and how to just come up with ideas. And to help me out with that, I have Linda, who is a confidence coach in addition to several other things. I'll let her explain. But Linda, how did you get into improv? What's your first experience with it, and how has it gotten you started?
Yes, thank you, Soda. It's been more now than a decade. I was someone that I was always really kind of shy and more the introverted side. And I still am an introvert at heart, really. But I always had these big dreams of like, I love writing, I love storytelling. So I always had this dream of having, seeing myself on stage or having my stories played out on TV or whatnot. But yeah, but I didn't take that route of, just like writer's class or anything like that. And about 12 years ago, I was there. I was really like working in my 9 to 5 and completely different kind of completely different place. And I told myself, okay, you know what? It's time that I take action. If I really want to do this, because I always had this burning sensation. I really want to have my stories out there, but I needed to take action. I needed to surround myself with different kind of people, like, writers. And because I was like more in the finance and the numbers world, right? So I decided to, okay, maybe look for a writers group or just to get started. And I just, while I was researching, I saw like kind of an ad for improv class. So you won, a tryout. And I was like, oh, okay. It seemed interesting, but at the same time, I didn't really know much about it. So, but I decided to just like go with an open mind, try it. And I was like, okay, you know what? That possibly can help me just like connect with people, maybe, open myself up a little bit and start dabbling into a more creative life. And when I went to that class, I didn't know what to expect. But what I found, it was like a world with people coming from all walks of life and doing things that we used to do when we were children, right? Some fun games and a little bit silly for me at first because I was like, okay, why are these adults who are doing all those kind of like silly games? But it was fun. And the place that when I went to was very welcoming. And that's really how I tried and I loved it. And I decided to come back again. And before I knew it, like I was on stage doing like shows and stuff like that. I really got kind of sucked into it. But that was really my first experience. I didn't know much about it. I really wanted to start connecting to, writing and storytelling. So I decided just to try it to help me with that.
I love how you have this kind of more technical background, but improv was kind of that gateway to help you be more creative. What are some of the ways that improv has helped you in your career?
Oh, yes. For me, improv had like profound effect in my life. So there's a basic principle in improv that's it's called like yes and. So basically, saying yes to an offer that's presented in front of you and kind of adding onto it. But I feel like it's much more than, we use this in life as well. And it really is helpful in life because even like as creatives, like when we're, for instance, like I didn't know a lot about writing at first. I wrote for myself, but there's a lot of things that I didn't know. But you have to kind of like start somewhere. You don't know necessarily where you're going all the time. And sometimes you're presented with like obstacles or struggles. You have to kind of work with whatever is presented in front of you. And it kind of builds your, the muscle of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's how I view things, like, and I apply this principle through life. Whether it's, in entrepreneurship, like doing my business, we don't know sometimes, like we try new stuff and we don't know if it's going to work. But we do know that, okay, if even if it doesn't work, whatever is presented in front of us, we're going to work with it, right? And we build that muscle, and it's like, okay, we'll get back up and we'll see what's next. So I say that, like, even in our lives, like we that's what life is all about, right? We are presented with stuff that we're just like, we don't know. So I feel that it builds that muscle of being like comfortable with the uncomfortable. And, once you have kind of proof of like, okay, well, even if I don't know what's next, I do know in the past that I dealt with it. So you kind of build more of a resistance, more resilience, and yeah, I feel like I apply it to everything that I do.
I completely agree. And it's very similar to when I first got into jujitsu. You're put in this situation because I'm a planner. I have to have everything planned out. And with both jujitsu and improv, you're put in these situations with at least one other person often. And you have to choose right there and then what you're going to do. You don't know ahead of time what is going to be presented to you, and you have to make that choice. And it's that mixture of having some sort of plan ahead of time, but also being willing to go.
Yes.
How has that helped you with flexibility in regards to creativity and life in general?
Yeah, and you say like I completely I can relate with you, like being a planner. Because even though, like, like I said, I come from like a world finance, numbers, like accounting, and things are more kind of square. So sometimes having something like a unplanned is like, oh, okay. And I love to have like things, know where I'm going. So yes, it did build up, like, kind of at first when I started improv, like I was like, oh my God, like I need to know what's next, like what's coming up next, what are people gonna say? And that's the first thing, like, you have to let go, right? To the expectation of like what someone might say to you when you kind of, you're doing a scene at improv, and you can't know what's next. So for me, yes, it did help me be okay with, okay, like I don't have to plan everything, and I can't, because like that life happens. And also to be more open to opportunities that may present, because sometimes, like, it's not only obstacles, right? It can be opportunities. So if you have something planned, and then someone say, hey, would you like to go for this trip right now? And that could be an opportunity of a lifetime. But because you're just like, oh no, I right now I'm focused on this. And so being more flexible and saying yes to opportunities. So again, the yes and it says like, well, there's an opportunity right now. It might not be when I really wanted it to, maybe I have other things, but let's say yes to this opportunity and see where that leads me. And sometimes it leads to the most beautiful things, and beautiful encounters. There's a lot of things that I said yes to, without having a plan, and actually it led to you know bigger opportunities or whatnot. So yeah, I feel like it really helped me be more flexible, like you said. Yeah.
Yes, and it has also, for me, I don't have as much experience in improv as you. I'm a newbie, but for me, it helps me learn the importance of listening to the person that you're with, if it's a collaborative improv thing, and also kind of boosting whatever, if they're telling a story and you're doing your yes and or no but, kind of building off of that and heading the same direction, kind of seeing what direction they're going. How have you been able to implement that aspect into, again, your creative projects or life in general?
Yes. For instance, when I love to brainstorm, right? And I love, like, even when I have ideas for my stories, because yes, definitely, like when we're in a group, for instance, like a writers group, and we're kind of like, you're taking notes from people or whatnot, or someone says something, and instead of just like being focused on, okay, the story where you want it to go, or you take the suggestion of that person and you add up on it, like you said. And even giving feedback to someone, the same thing, right? You want to kind of boost, taking like, okay, what is it, the part of their story, but here's what I'm bringing. And then we kind of collaborate together to make this better. Right. So, and I like the fact that you said, yes, it's communication is everything in improv as well. So, when you are building something together, you know, and even in business sometimes where you have partners or whatnot, you have a team, listen to, it helps really to listen to people, like the feedback, and also, okay, how can I incorporate that feedback into what I'm doing? And also, are really listen to what the person said, not as like criticism, but as a way of like, okay, they're they want to help me. They want to help the idea that we're constructing together. So not of something like, oh no, this is my idea and this is how the way that I see it, but more of like, okay, maybe they have, this is I receive, your idea, and let's see if we can make something with what is already there, right? So I find it's beautiful. Like for brainstorming, it's really, really great because everyone is open to receive without judgment, right? And we have one goal is to make like, one idea. We want to make the best ideas, and we want to see like have every people like feedback or ideas, and we put it in a pot together and see like, what we can make. And it really makes things better. And also I do feel as well like for a team, it helps kind of being on the same page and solidify like just the team spirit, and because everybody knows that they have a place and we have their backs and we're all in this together. So I feel like improv comes into play that in that way as well.
Yes, and I know that one of your nicknames is your brainstorm bestie, right?
Yeah, for the brainstorming
And
bestie.
I know that you love to brainstorm with people, and I know that most of my listeners are writers, artists, and musicians. And sometimes we feel stuck and we just need someone to talk with. What's some of the benefits of having someone like you to brainstorm ideas off of?
Yes, yeah, no, thank you. And brainstorming is something like that I love, just for me again, just like we said, like improv, I love sitting with someone because as writers, I'm a writer as well. So as writers, sometimes we have blocks, right? Sometimes like, and as creators, when we're creating, there comes a time that sometimes we would love to discuss with someone, but people around us, sometimes they don't totally understand, or sometimes we don't have people to whom we can really talk to. So having someone that you can just like that can be a soundboard that can we can just go back and forth, and even sometimes asking just some questions like how do we see it, and collaboratively like together we discuss, we make sure that you have someone that is listening, but also that you can exchange and maybe give another kind of like, yeah, maybe that has another viewpoint. And for me, I'm not there to, as brainstorming, I say it's not there to give like, oh, this is how it should go. No, it's more a reflecting and back and forth. And sometimes just maybe, it's going to be enough to say like, oh, okay, a spark of another idea. And I will say like, we sleep on it, it simmers, but it's just to have someone because sometimes we have to exteriorize. We need to talk to someone. We need to talk to someone that understand, and also that will be, that's not going to be judging us. So that's why I say like I offer like this space that's non-judgmental, where we can freely discuss, go back and forth, asking questions. We ask questions and make sure that we write words, and we do. I have some exercises as well, like just to see like, okay, what other things that sparks. Sometimes we start with something and it evolves into something else, and then we sleep on it, and then it evolves again, and so giving that space for for us to make sure that okay, we have someone that's receiving, that's listening. That's great. For me, I know I needed that, so I love that I can offer that as well to people, and it's something that I love to do as well. So
And it's so creative that you even thought of that as a service that you can provide for people and get paid for. Because I know for me, lots of times I'll try to brainstorm off other people and they're just kind of getting overwhelmed because, I'm basically asking them to do that for free when they have their busy lives. So just being able to have someone completely dedicated to brainstorming those ideas, like, I think that's genius. And I know that you also are a confidence coach. How does confidence, in your experience, relate to improv, and how can that help with your creative projects?
Oh, definitely. I feel like a lot of us, whether it's the creative, but even like entrepreneurs, whatnot, we sometimes have this little voice that's like in our head saying like, "Oh, are we really going to do that? Are you sure?" Or that's kind of the imposter syndrome that might be talking like, and you're just like, "Oh, okay." Is it like, am I good enough for that? Is it like so? We question there's a lot of like sometimes we question ourselves. We don't know if we're ready. We don't know if this is okay or if we're in the right path. So there's a lot of like questioning and confidence. And sometimes, for instance, even an idea or vision, we sleep on it. We don't think like it's good enough or whatnot. So I know like, even clients in the past, it's just like having the confidence is important for us to put ourselves out there. I think it's very important, like if we have a vision, if we have an idea, if we're creating something, to put it out in the world. And sometimes, yes, we do, like I said, we do have imposter syndrome. We don't feel that, or we dismiss our ideas. We we dismiss our voice. So there's a lot of work with that to make sure that we we are proud to put ourselves out there. We are confident in the ideas and the vision that we have. And also, once we have that, now how do we communicate it in the world, right? We have to put ourselves out there. We need to share our stories. We need to share our work with the world. And that's sometimes another aspect. Sometimes it's clear in our mind, but then to communicate it, we don't know how to, or we're shy, we become shy, we don't know how to share it. And I feel like it's something to work on. How do you communicate? How do you stand in in your power and make sure like this is my vision, this is my thing, and I want to share it with the world. And you can make sure that other people find you, like you can inspire people. And I feel like our vision it's needed out there, right? So we don't want to hide it. So yes, just to summarize, like the question, that improv in the sense of like confidence, for me it helped me put myself out there. And it's a process. It's step by step, showing up, even on social media, showing up on video, showing up on camera. Sometimes can be very hard. We're not used to that. So, but it's just a process, step by step. And I love working with people because I've been there myself, just like being shy and not talking about like my stories or my dreams of like having my stories somewhat, someday on Broadway or Netflix or whatnot. But step by step, you develop your confidence, and you're able to talk about what you do, and you're able to inspire people as well. And it's a beautiful thing.
Completely agree. I'm still working on the confidence part, but I really, really do believe that even just dabbling in improv has helped a lot with that. And I know that sometimes, at least for me, I want to hear if you have any experiences with this. Sometimes I'll be in an improv situation and I'm with someone and it's just, I'm not jiving with the prompt and I can't think of anything to say. And I just feel so embarrassed because they might be doing great, but I'm just stuck and embarrassed and want to just hide my face. What kind of experiences do you have similar to that? And what are some ways that you are able to kind of get through that?
I've been in a situation like that, that's you just like, oh, there's a blank, or oh, darn, I was not funny. And it's fine. Yeah. Or I thought of a line later on, and what to say later on. But what I learned is to live in the moment. And once the moment is past, you kind of just like, okay, what did I learn from that situation? And then I let it go. And improv is the same thing. It's like it's created in the moment, right? So we cannot dwell too much on it, because like there's another scene, there's another moment that we're creating with someone else, and it's something else. We just have to learn of okay, here's what happened. Maybe I froze, maybe, but it's okay. We move on, and we learn from it, and we get back up, right? And I think as creative as well, sometimes, for me as a writer, when I read stories, sometimes I was like, wow, okay, I'm stuck there. I don't know. Or the story that I thought like that I had in my mind, like it turned into something else. And you're just like, oh, this is not totally what I expected. It's not as good as but you kind of have to go, you know, for me, I was just like, okay, what can I do? What did I learn in the past? Let's just continue and see what the product will be at the end, and learn from it. If it's not like, maybe it's not the story that we wanted to tell, but it is a story. It's an output, and we can learn from it and then apply to the next one. And maybe there's some things that we need to work on or whatnot, but that's okay. I feel like the best way is to just really learn and let it go and not dwell too much on it. And I know it's easier said than done, because sometimes you're just like, oh my god, no, like this is embarrassing. But you learn to just like, okay, especially if it's something that is, as creative, we have like passion. We're passionate about things, right? And we want to put, like, at the end of the day, we want to put our work out there, and we want also to just finish our work, right? And create something. So I say, like, go with the things that give you energy, and don't dwell too much on those little things, those little hiccups, because like we grow from it. Like everybody, it's fine. We fail and we learn from it. But that's really what I can say. But it's harder. It's easier said than done. And but I say to it, like, also the more that we do it, for instance, like improv, the more that you just like, okay, let's just go to the next one. You kind of build a resistance. You're just like, okay, that's fine. I know, like, I got back up from this embarrassing scene last time, so it's not the end of the world. You have kind of proof, to say like, okay, I did it before. Nothing happened. People are not just like, what? People forget about it. It's fine. So let's just move on and move on to the next thing.
It reminds me, yeah, I've had a lot of embarrassing improv moments that I'm still trying to move on from, even though I'm sure nobody remembers or nobody even cared.
Exactly.
And it kind of reminds me of when I first started working retail, and I was terrified of using the PA system and making an announcement. Every time I would just be so embarrassed if I did the slightest mess up. And after a while, it just became second nature to me. And if I messed up, I was like, whatever, because I had done it so many times, and it's like not even that embarrassing. And just customers, they're not going to remember me, unless you do something really, really embarrassing. But
Exactly.
that how important is just repetition. And because I know for me, I tend to give up on things a lot and, kind of switch into something else. How important has it been for you to kind of keep going with things and not give up when they seem hard?
Yes, that is key, honestly. And I can relate with you. Sometimes you just feel like, okay, for instance, like I write a story and I'm blocked and I don't know, and sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm going to put it aside. But the thing is like, sometimes like when we create things, it will call us back. Like there's an unfinished business. I don't know if sometimes you're just like, oh, there's this thing I need to go back to. So even if it's like, I feel like even if you're stuck and you feel like, okay, this is not working, you can put it aside and maybe work on. I know for me, that's what I do. Sometimes I put it aside, I'll work on something else, and then I come back to it. Because also sometimes, like, you need to give yourself a little break, because you need to kind of like have this fresh mind to go back into whatever you were creating. because you have a block. Sometimes we need to take a step back. We need to experiment other things too, sometimes before we get back to the thing. And maybe sometimes it is the way it is supposed to be. Need to kind of like let it go for a moment. And for if it's something, if it's like your vision, if it's something that's really, it will call, you will feel it that you need to finish whatever you started. So but yes, it's hard, especially sometimes like you're just like, okay, I don't know how to do it. This is too complicated. I give up. But I say, before giving up, sometimes like ask for help. I know sometimes this is hard as well, but asking for help or going, looking for resources, like, because we don't know everything. Like sometimes, for instance, you're doing a podcast or whatnot, you don't know the technicalities and you have this vision and then you're like, oh, I give up because like I don't know all of these like technical stuff. But maybe ask someone who has done it before. Maybe just like before completely giving up, I say sometimes we can also ask, people for help, look for resources before giving up. And sometimes it's not that it's really hard. It's just because that we don't know and we just need someone to, help us, or you know, we might look for a resource to guide us. So I would say like, yeah, do that before, because I do believe like if you have something that you want to do, do it and don't give up. Don't give up, because like I know if it's put like it's in your mind for a reason. It is like, it's in your heart for a reason. So always say like, don't give up. Can put it aside for a while, but come back to it and ask for help. Ask for people who've done it before to help you, or an extra pair of eyes, or whatnot.
And I know some people listening might kind of want to get into improv, but maybe don't know where to go or how to get that confidence. I know that you have a few different services that you have, or I know that sometimes people can find places online or in their local communities.
Yes.
What would you suggest for someone who is interested but not sure how to get started?
Yes. So definitely the first things, like I do think like most major cities, like there's an improv group somewhere for sure. So with a little bit of research, you can just like type improv in your city and you might find some improv groups that are playing. There's some improv theaters there. So I would say like, if you because if you don't know anything about improv, maybe you can go and just see sometimes they have shows. So maybe go see a show, maybe just like, also they have sometimes like tryouts or open houses, or whatnot. So it's always good to get to know, look at their website, look at the videos, look at and maybe go see a show to get acquainted a little bit with the what is improv in general. And then if there's any tryouts, might want to ask about that, just to see, like, to dabble into it a little bit. But I would say go see an improv show. And also there are, we can also watch some clips on YouTube. They're different. There's improv, there's like match, like here we have like improv leagues with match, like they have like this looks like a hockey match, but there are different arts of improv. So I would say, honestly, look at your local improv theater and see if they have any open like house, or open like kind of like one time you can try or go see a show, just to get acquainted before, just jumping into it. Especially if you don't know anything about it, it can be very intimidating sometimes, like just to see like, oh, am I going to go on stage? At first, no, you're not going to go on stage like the first time, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, so yeah, I would say that's those are the first things that I would suggest. But if not, like, definitely, for instance, like for me, like we have a company that with what we do, we use improv to do like networking events as well. So we have networking events with like some games, like theatrical games, so people can connect and listen better, and a lot of fun at the same time. So it's not an improv class per se. It's just using improv to just like connect people better. And so we do also team building activities for companies in order for them to get to know each other better and connect. So, using improv to kind of connect people. So that's like been really fun as well.
Feel like that would be really useful for me when someone asks me, "What's your book about?" And us as writers, we're like, "Okay, so it's about this and this and this." Right. Maybe if I could just, quickly say what it's about. That is a very useful skill. Just or like an elevator pitch if you're out and about, like,
Yes.
"Oh, what kind of music do you do? What kind of art do you do?" And just being able to quickly be able to say what you do. That's a skill that a lot of us struggle with.
Yes.
And speaking of networking, just final thoughts. Where can people find you? And what are some last words of wisdom you would like to give anyone who is
Yes. Okay. Well,
to learn more?
yes, thank you. So can definitely find me. Well, for me, like Instagram. On Instagram, I have an Instagram page. I yes to you coaching. So yes to the number two you coaching. So you can find me there for any confidence tips and also some type of improv as well, like in terms of just brainstorming and your ideas. But also the company I was telling you about, like where we do networking events, you can look. We have our website. It's at mycreativebreak.com. And we're almost all social medias as My Creative Break as well. So yes, if you want to see a little bit like how improv can be applied into other settings, you can look at at our page and you'll see like how we kind of bring improv into different settings to have fun and to connect people.
Yeah, I'm good. I've seen a little bit on your Instagram, but I'm going to have to check out more. That sounds really fun. So,
Yes.
thanks again for all of this awesome information. And maybe we should have like improv right for writers group.
Yes, yes, yes. And I would say like my last parting words is just like, yeah, try it, let it simmer. But I feel for me, it had an impact on my life in terms, like I said, confidence and just all throughout, like, whether it's like my creative life or entrepreneurship life. And also you get to meet great people. I didn't mention that, but you get to meet like great supportive people and long life friends. And so it is a way as well to connect and to meet people and to meet other creatives as well. There are people from all walks of life there. So I would say, if you didn't know anything about improv, just, have a look and see if it's something that could help you. And I feel it's a skill. It's a skill that I feel everyone should kind of at least explore a little bit more.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of The Success Palette. For its social media links and information on bonus episodes, you can go to thesuccesspalette.com. And please, let's make it a successful week.